This is Matt for Behind the Gloves in association with Eshnan Boxing. I'm delighted to be joined by WBO Super Featherweight Champion of the World, Mikaela Mayer. Mikaela, thank you for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
How's things been going? How have you been keeping?
Things have been good. I fought for the title in October, so it's been a little bit of a layoff, and it's nobody's fault. Just the whole pandemic and Top Rank trying to make up for the fighters they couldn't fight all of 2020, and so I won't be able to fight until June 19th. We finally have the date, so I'm back in training camp up in Michigan where Coach Al lives, and we started camp about a week ago.
How pleased are you that they're finally back in camp and working towards a date now?
I was going a little bit crazy. Luckily, Terrence Crawford's team, Jamel Herring's team, they're training out there in Colorado Springs where I live. And so they were in camp for Jamel, and I was able to join their camp and kind of like stay sharp and stay busy, stay sparring with a good team of coaches. So that was great. But obviously, like, I always learn the most when I'm up here with Coach Al, and we have a lot of one-on-one time to sort of go over game plans and work on little technical things. So glad to be back.
Am I right in thinking you're his first female world champion? Is that correct?
Yeah, I made that post the other day. His 11th Olympian, his first female Olympian, and then also his first female world champion, his fourth. How
pleased was he to finally get a picture with the belt after all this time?
Yeah, I was bringing it. But he always tells me, don't worry about it. After the fight, I was like, where's my belt? Where's my belt? He's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You won the fight. Don't worry about it. And then, Top Rank sent me to Puerto Rico to go grab it myself. So it wasn't too big of a deal, but Coach definitely deserved his photo op with the belt after all the work we put in all these years. So I'm glad I got to bring it up to him. But yeah, he was glad to see it.
You finally got a date now. Anyway, June 19th. Have we any word on an opponent yet for you?
Yeah, the opponent has been tricky. It's I wanted Maeva Hamadouche. Obviously, I wanted to unify right away. I've been pretty clear about that. I wanted any one of the champs. I would have taken that, but Top Rank and Matchroom negotiated. I hear one thing from my management, another thing from her, and I only have so much power. I can ask for the fight. I can tell my team to go after, and it's up to the promoters to make the deal. And for whatever reason, I'm not going to get into it because I hear a million different reasons. They weren't able to come to an agreement. So that fight is not happening yet. I do hope that it'll happen this year and we'll get the unifications done. But for this next fight, we had to move on to somebody else. We went after a couple Americans. Those didn't work out either. So we finally landed. We finally landed an opponent, like literally this past week. I'm not allowed to say who yet because I haven't got the head, but she's a tough opponent. She's fought a lot of the top girls at the higher weight class. So good experience, and Top Rank thinks that she'll help get me, to the next level. She's a strong, sturdy opponent.
Is that frustrating for you when you've now become world champion? And I remember at the time you were, sort of campaigning for like Terri Harper and stuff like that, and you have a lot of back and forth on Twitter. Is that frustrating for you that you can't just jump into them unification fights straight away?
Yeah, I know it is frustrating because it's taken a long time for me to get the belt, right? 14 fights, and I've been wanting a while. So I do want to go into the unifications, but one thing that Coach Al has taught me is just be patient. And I've been obviously calling out the girls on Twitter and all that, but that's just to build hype for this fight, because I do want it to happen. And when it does happen, because of the hype and the build up and the way I've been pressing it, I think that a lot of people will be watching, and that's the most important thing, right? So I don't want it longer, but the longer it takes, the more of a build up we're going to get and the more eyes we're going to get on the fight.
We've just seen a fight recently where there was sort of a bit of a split with how the fight was promoted from both sides. Ebony Bridges versus Shannon Courtney. And I know you sort of chimed in on that with your little, I think, was it an Instagram or Twitter video you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that whole situation was two different personalities, and obviously there was a lot of eyes on the sport. What did you make of that whole situation, both viewpoints? Then I know you did your video, but are you sort of go on.
Yeah, my point behind this, and I love. I mean, you can shit talk, you can say what you want. Like, obviously, I think that Ebony Bridges does a great job at selling the fight.
Yeah.
And I don't mind the talking back and forth and the dissing each other, but like, let's talk about boxing, because if one we know about boxing is it does not discriminate against looks, right? And looks can be very deceiving. You don't look past anybody, and I think say whatever you want, but just leave looks out of it. And I know I've dealt with that coming up as an amateur, you know, not wanting to maybe wear certain colors that maybe look too girly, and I want to be respected. And it came to a point where I'm like, I'm just gonna be who I am, because at the end of the day, what I look like or what I'm stepping on the scale in or what color, if I'm wearing a pink sweatsuit, like what matters is the hard work that I put into the gym and what I do when I step in that ring. And so I just think that's important. To let's talk about boxing.
Yeah. What did you make of the fight? I thought it lived up to the build up. To be honest,
yeah,
really good fight. Credit to Shannon; she came out on top with a victory. I think everybody will come again as well. Is that is that a rematch you'd like to see down the line?
I would definitely like to see the rematch. I tweeted I'm not mad at the decision. I went through each round, and I even said at the end of the fight, I'm like, I'm gonna have to watch that again, because a couple of the rounds were so close that I can't really make a decision off that. Like, I'd like to go back and watch it. But I said after the 7th round, if Ebony were to fight the last 3 rounds like she did that 7th round, she was really strong that 7th, then she'll win the fight. I said if she gives Courtney 1 round, if she lets Courtney take 1 round, I suspect a draw. But you know, Ebony's eye probably was a huge impact on those last 2 rounds. She wasn't able to see well, so I do give those last few rounds to Shannon Courtney, and I think that's why she deserves the win. But I do think the scorecards were a little wide.
Yeah, I think there was one card that was completely like off the scale wide, but apart from that, I don't think there was much argument with the result. But just overall, another great fight for women's boxing. I think last year at Fight Camp, I think Eddie had a load of good fights on in the female division. Courtney again versus Rachel Ball, Jonas and Harper. Are you wanting to at some point come over to the UK and get in the mix with all that and within all the build up on, you know, maybe on a Matchroom show or something like that?
Oh yeah, there'll definitely be a day where I come over there to the UK and meet all the people who love me so much over there. But that'll be exciting for sure. I definitely see that happening. I mean, there's a lot of girls over there right now. Eddie Hearn's doing great and has a whole stable of them. So it only makes sense that somewhere down the line I'll be competing over there. I ideally want to win my world, and I've always said this, like, I think America is the ultimate challenge. Like, if we really, they're doing great building boxing over there in Europe, in the UK, but America is still a huge, America is still a huge challenge for us. And I want to grow women's boxing over here. So I, of course, want to have these world title fights in the US, ESPN. And it's not just a selfish reason. It really is to help to let, you know, we have so much competition over here in the United States with all these sports and Hollywood and everything. And want to get women's boxing in front of these people. So ideally, yes, ESPN, but I'm definitely not opposed to going over to the UK eventually.
Yeah, I think a lot of the UK fighters as well would love to go to the US, because a lot of fighters, not just the male fighters, their dream is to fight in the States anyway. That should help grow women's boxing. But I think it's really on a rise this year off the back of that fight. It's sort of breaking down boundaries and pushing it close to the men's, I would say, at this point.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, we're making strides, but I still see there's a lot to be done. And like I said, it's coming back here to America. Like, I think that women's boxing is doing great over there in the UK, doing great over there in Europe, and Eddie Hearn has the ability to sign these women and put them on these big cards, but it's just a little bit more difficult here in the United States. There's a lot more comes to TV time and just like competition when it comes to like getting the recognition and getting the spotlight for it's a little bit more difficult. And so we still have a long way to go when it comes to building women's boxing, but it's not going to happen overnight. And I like where we are right now.
Yeah, I think even men's boxing in America. I mean, I was there for Wild Fury, and even some people in LA were like, "Who's fighting at the weekend?" And I was like, "What do you mean you don't know who's fighting at the weekend? It's here." And they were like, "It's just because they've got basketball and all these other big sports that sort of take precedence over boxing, whereas in the UK it's football and boxing."
Yeah,
so
that's true. And I've said that on Twitter, and I've gotten a lot of kind of backlash from it from people out there, but it's just true. There's just so much competition here and so many famous and people that in more Americanized sports with more even Top Rank struggles with like, okay, we only have this many slots on ESPN, the rest are going to March Madness for basketball and all these things. And so that's why I can't fight till June, and so things like that. But that's why I would say America is definitely a little bit more of a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're seeing a lot of change in boxing as well, with a lot of YouTubers coming into the sport. Recently, Jake Paul just put on, call it an incredible event. It was one of the strangest events that I've ever seen against Ben Askren. Did you watch that?
I watched it later. I didn't watch it live, but it was so weird because I didn't expect the commentating to be F this, F that, and just like
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, it was very, I don't want to say unprofessional because that sounds negative, but it was very, very different from what boxing is used to. And I think some people are afraid that that's going to, I've had people say this to me, like, oh, that's going to kill the sport. And, that's going to, real boxers like you aren't going to be respected or get the attention you deserve. And I just don't think that's true. There's always going to be boxing enthusiasts who enjoy classic real boxing. And this is just sort of like a phase of like the new era, right? So it's social media and everything's so big these days. And this is just a result of it. And I don't mind it. Like I'm not going to stress about things I can't control. This is the way the media is going these days. And this is what people want to tune into now, then fine. At least people are talking about boxing in my eyes.
Could you imagine Snoop Dogg commentating on one of your fights?
I would love it. And I wouldn't even mind fighting on a color card, I wouldn't. I mean, they had great views, and I wouldn't mind stepping into that kind of audience and showing them what real boxing looks like. And I think that would be cool. But it's very early on, so I think people are jumping to conclusions, getting a little upset. But it's just, you just got to roll with the punches. This is the way things are these days, media. So like I said, we're talking about boxing, and here in America, when you have someone like Snoop Dogg and these YouTube stars with millions of followers talking about boxing, that's a big deal for us because, like you said, it goes all this competition with these other sports in Hollywood and all these other famous people in industries. And so, shoot, I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna find the positive in it and say, hey, at least Snoop Dogg loves boxing.
Would you be willing to fight a YouTuber then, if it made sense for you? If there was a female YouTuber who came out and was hitting millions of subscribers, would that be something you'd be open to?
Yeah, I just tweeted the other day. I said, hey, any female YouTube stars want to jump in the ring real quick, and then put a money bag emoji, because at the end of the day, we're all here to make some money, right? And like, if anyone had the opportunity that Jake Paul had, like, they would take it. So we're all here just trying to hustle, make a living, and do what we love. So I would definitely, I don't know of a YouTube star that'd be willing to do that, but I'm here for it.
I think it's good to see. It brings a lot of eyes to boxing, and hopefully it can bring them to watch, some of the more, I don't want to say professional setups, but some of the actual proper boxing events, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah. Real boxers. I mean, they weren't real boxers. I know Jake Paul actually. I mean, he seems like really love boxing and take it seriously. So
yeah,
I don't not a real boxer, but to be respected as a real boxer, he's gonna have to fight other real boxers.
yeah. I think if he fights a real boxer and wins, I think everyone will, put their hands up and say fair enough. But until then, I think he's going to struggle a little bit. But
I don't think like jumping up and wanting to fight like the biggest name in boxing is going Fury is going to really help him much with like calling out the best and thinking he deserves a title with the best. I think if he really wants to win over boxing fans, like he should start and climbing his way to the top. Start off fighting some real boxers, get a ranking, earn a little bit of a shot against someone like Tyson Fury.
Oh my gosh, the world will have gone mad if that ever happens. That is strange. Coming back to yourself then, and your next step after this fight. Terri Harper's her unification fight's just been made against Choi. Potentially, would you want to fight the winner of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely, definitely. I don't know if that's in Eddie Hearn's plans. Fortunately for him, he has the other 3 champs. He has Hamadouche too. So is he going to offer me that fight? Is he going to allow him and Top Rank to negotiate for that?
Yeah.
Is that conversation on his radar, or is he planning on giving that fight straight to Hamadouche? I don't know. Yeah. I'm sure that conversation is going to happen as soon as this fight's over. So I look forward to that. So I just think, I'm going to focus on this fight. Terry's got a fight in front of her. I mean, I don't see a huge like disadvantage in that fight. Like I don't see the odds being very, very wide. Like I've always said, I think Terri Harper is a good boxer, but I still think that she's somewhat inexperienced. And I still feel that way about Choi as well, because 17 fights, or 19 or whatever she has, but over how long of a time period, and so, we'll see how that fight matches up. I wouldn't put a ton of money on either one, but I am rooting for my girl Terri Harper because I still want that fight. I wanted it for a long time, so I'll be pulling for her to win.
What happens if you two fight? What happens? You versus Terri Harper. How does that fight pan out?
I am excited to finally show the people in Europe and the UK people who've said for years that I don't deserve a fight with Terri Harper, who thinks that I'm not on her level, that she would smash me, which I really just don't understand, because you can be for Terri Harper or you can be against Mikaela Mayer or USA or whatever. But I mean, you have to give me my props. I mean, I have over 130 amateur fights. I'm an Olympian. I'm, 14-0 world champion now. So I have a ton of experience. And for you to just dismiss me like that is really stupid. And so I'm going to that fight with a grudge, with a grudge on my shoulder. I'm gonna go and show them like what real boxing looks like, what a real strategic boxer looks like, and I'm gonna fight her in all different areas of the ring, inside, the outside, and I want to just showcase what a real well-rounded boxer, experienced boxer at this level looks like.
I think everyone wants to see that fight, especially with the build-up, because there's been a bit of what we call a bit of needle, and there's been that sort of back and forth on Twitter. I think everyone wants to see that fight. And I'm pretty sure that all the people are obviously they're backing Terri, maybe because it's the UK fans are just backing Terri, obviously. But I think it's. I've always said
fans go hard. I will give them that. They do back their people.
Sure.
Go hard for their people. So, but I mean, her people can't get in the ring with her. So, I think that's gonna be a great fight for women's boxing. I'm ready for it when we can make the deal happen. I don't think that I think that she wants to be undisputed world champion. I believe that she eventually will want to fight. But right now, like, it's sort of like she just goes along with what Eddie Hearn tells her to do. And so I'm hoping Eddie Hearn sees the fight as a big marketing fight for women's boxing, and will want to negotiate and make it happen.
Yeah, hopefully if you fight the other champion as well, and then however it works, you can all just fight each other, however it works. So,
yeah, I'm still kind of, as a fan too, like I'm taking myself out of the equation and just thinking like, I really wonder how this is going to play out. Like, will fight once the winner of Choi versus Harper? Will Eddie let me do that, or will he give it to Hamadouche? And then here I am going up against one person for all 3 belts. I don't really know if I have a preference. I'm just gonna go with the flow, see how things work out. I know that I'm needed. I do have a belt now. You know, that was the argument in the beginning. I didn't have a belt. I'm not a world champion. Go get one. I got one, so I'm in the equation. Regardless, they need me to make an undisputed world champion. So I'm just open to all ways that this could pan out, and it's exciting. I'm excited about it, and so I'm sure the fans are too.
Well, we'll see how it all pans out, but fingers crossed, get you over to the UK, and that would be a big fight in the UK. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Mikaela, appreciate you talking to Behind the Gloves. We'll keep an eye on your journey, and fingers crossed we get them big fights.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Oh, hey there, fight fans. Didn't see you there. If you guys haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you go to do so by clicking right here, or else.